Who's the most impressive person you've ever met?
Well, there's a lot of people who I find impressive, but some of the most impressive people I ever met were my dad's chess friends, just because of how high on the spectrum they were, but they still managed to function. But the things they remembered, the things they did were super impressive. I don't know if I've met anyone and been like, wow, that's hyper impressive. I can't say a name yet, but perhaps I'll meet someone someday. But I think everybody's good at different things, right? So someone might be impressive at one thing, and then I don't know. I don't think I've met anyone and been impressed by them. I don't think that's because I'm arrogant. I just think we're all human. We have two arms, two legs, and people are good at certain things, and that's good. I'm good at certain things. You're good at certain things. That's great.
It's actually a pretty common answer, I'll say.
Yeah.
I ask all my guests this, and a couple have said, I don't know.
Well, the remarkable thing about it is that you expect the upper echelons of society to be these remarkable people. You expect the famous or the rich or whoever to be remarkable people, but they're just people. And often their flaws are highlighted by the fact that you expect them to be more than they actually are. And nobody's really that impressive. It's the truth. Nobody's that impressive. Everybody has two arms, two legs, and everybody goes to sleep. And people get tired and they yawn and they sneeze, and nobody's that impressive at all. And I guess from the bottom, you have this belief that there's no way these people would be at the top unless they're actually better. But the truth is they're often not better. They're just lucky, or they had networking, or perhaps they worked harder, they're better at working. But there's no one watching this who's at the bottom echelons of society who does not have the genetic makeup to reach the top. You're just as good as most of the people at the top. In fact, all these WF Davos billionaire pieces of shit are actually fat fucking dorks. And they're not even strong. They're weak. The average dude on the street beats shit out of any of them. They're not genetic specimens. They're not amazing people. They're just well-networked, wealthy, old, fat dudes.
There's a reason they love the island.
There's a reason they love the island, because women don't even want them. Even with all their money, they can't get girls. So they have to go to the island. So like these people in charge of things are not impressive in any way. They're actually quite opposite most of the time, because a lot of the things that make you impressive, especially as a man, is the hardships. It's the fact you've been through difficult things and you have insight because of difficulty, and you've trained hard, or you've been through so many difficult things. A lot of these people at the top, their lives are so easy, they're just soft as shit. And they're really not that impressive to talk to or be around.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice, I've had a lot of advice, but one of the pieces of advice I like is never scare a coward. If you scare a coward, the way they lash out is never honorable. Look at Keir Starmer right now. He's a coward, he's a bitch, and he's scared that the far right, he's scared that the nationalists are tired of his bullshit. So the way he's lashed out and destroyed everybody's freedom in real time, it's because of his cowardice, his innate cowardice inside of him. If you scare a coward, if you scare a real man, he might stand up and confront you. If you scare a coward, he'll stab you in the back. So you should be very careful how you deal with cowards. They're the most treacherous. They're the ones who will betray you. And they have no honor or dignity or duty at all. They'll just do anything it takes to win, almost. It's very... Cowardice in and of itself is an insidious force, and you should stay very far away from it. I don't like having cowards around me. I don't like interacting with cowards. And if your enemy is a coward, you even have to be more careful than if he's a real man in many ways. If your enemy is a coward, you have to be very careful with how you deal with him, because the complete lack of honor and duty, and I would even say empathy inside of a coward, is quite remarkable.
If you were on death row, what's the last thing you'd say to the world?
Again, depends on the scenario. Depends. I think by that point, there's no point pleading your innocence.
I guess if you were going to die tomorrow, what's the last thing you'd say to the world?
I'd like to be remembered as the person who always made the brave choice. And I would hate for my situation, whatever I'm in, to discourage people from being brave. I would make it clear that bravery probably got me in the mess I was in, but there is no world without bravery, and that death is coming for us all. And that if you try and avoid the fight and avoid being brave, hoping to save yourself and save your skin, you only buy more time. And you buy time in a world that you don't possibly want to live in. The world and history has taught us that even if you're a coward, even if you agree with the system, even if you do what the Matrix wants, even if you avoid the fight, you still get shot. You just get shot later. But what's the point in getting shot later as a coward when you can get shot first as a man? And I would just try and make it very clear to the world to never be discouraged from making the brave choice and doing what they believe is right, because consequences for that are worth paying, even if they're dead. They're worth paying, because you'll be remembered as a hero. We're all going to die in the end. Why would you want to die as an insignificant coward when you could die a little bit earlier and be remembered for eternity as a hero who did the right thing? I mean, in the eternity of the human consciousness, what is a few years anyway? Like, what is a few years? You die 10 years earlier as a hero, or you have 10 more years of insignificant coward life, sitting around hiding in your room as a worm to be forgotten forever. Well then, if you're that kind of person, you truly are a coward. You're really such a pussy. I'd rather die as a hero than live as a coward any day of the week anyway. So I just try my best not to discourage anyone from being brave.